on that program. Well, let me jump in, because today what's going to happen is I'm not going to teach you about the law. Thank you. Fantastic. I'm not going to teach you about the law today other than how to find answers to legal questions. But I'm not going to answer your questions for you. I mean, you can come up to me and ask me a question about what does the law say about this and that. And I can tell you probably off the top of my head. But that doesn't help you. It doesn't teach you how to find the answer yourself. So, I can, the analogy, I can provide you with a fish, or I can teach you how to fish and feed you for a lifetime. That's my goal. My goal today is not to educate you on what the law says, but to educate you on how you can find out what the law says. Because if you rely on what someone else tells you, your knowledge is no better than the person that told you. And if you read an article about what the law is on whatever concept, then your knowledge is no better than the knowledge that the author has. And so many times I'll read articles and I'll say, that person doesn't get it. That person's missed the boat. And yet if you rely on what someone else tells you, then you'll have no one to blame but yourself for having the wrong answer to what the law says about something. Now what's going to happen today is you're going to be fire hosed. I'm going to fire hose you. You're going to have so much stuff coming at you so fast, you're going to have trouble keeping your head above water. And sure, you'll complain about it, but I won't listen to the complaints. I am really going to hit you with an awful lot of stuff at high speed. We're not going to do any detailed analysis of any particular statute or legal issue. But again, as I've said, you're going to know where to find the answer rather than rely on someone else. Now, when I'm fire hosing you, I will say to you, turn to page so-and-so. Go down to subsection C, highlight subsection C, the title there. Now jump down to the last line of subsection C and highlight the last 5 words. And then I'll say something about those last 5 words. I'll say, now turn over to page 99. And so what will happen is you're going to see something. Oh my gosh, I was looking for that, and here it is. I've been wondering where the law, and here it is. And you start reading the content, and you come up for air 2 or 3 minutes later. I'm 50 pages further on. So I tell you, don't stop and read. Fold the page down so you can remember to go back to it later. Now, you all are very fortunate. You happen to be the owners of the Deluxe wrightslaw pen. And you're going to be using this pen a lot today. So go ahead and take it out. You're going to be using the highlight end, and you're going to be using the pen portion. Now, these pens are really not very good pens. They're cheapy ones. I mean, we sell them for $1.95 on a website if you really fall in love with it and you want to get more. And you find my pens will last me about a week on average. Half the time I lose it and can't find it, and the other half the time it runs out of ink. So just bear in mind, you get what you pay for. And this didn't cost you anything today. All right, moving on. We're going to learn about the law, IDA 2004. For those in the military, do we have any military families here in the audience? Okay, we've got a few. I'll mention that very briefly. Section 504, No Child Left Behind. You're going to learn how to determine if a kid's making progress in a program or remaining flat or, worse, regressing. Smart IEPs, and you're going to learn about advocacy, tactics, and strategies. Now, what happens so often when I do a program is at the end of the day, someone will come up to me and say, Pete, I bought both your law book and we call this the FETA book, from Emotions Advocacy book. I bought your law book and your FETA book a couple of years ago because I wanted to know what the law said about something, and I started to try to find the answer, and I realized I'm not a lawyer, and I didn't know what I was thinking, trying to find an answer to a legal question. So I put it down and I haven't looked at it again. Today, you forced us to go into it and really understand how to find things, and I'd never looked at it before. So one of the main things that I do today is really force you to get into this so you can find the answers. I don't spend as much time on the more important content, what is in this book. This is the book that you need to read on your own time rather than have me go through each chapter, each concept. You read this on your own time, and when you read this on your own time, there are 3 things you have to do. The first thing is read it cover to cover. Start at the very first page, go to the last page, and do not have a pen or a highlighter in your hand. Do not underline anything, don't write any notes, don't highlight anything, because what will happen is as you're reading this, you're going to have so many flashbacks to things that happened to you over the years. An incident happened with you in a school district. And it's going to be an emotional roller coaster, because you'll say to yourself, oh my gosh, I really shot myself in the foot and I thought I was doing the right thing. That will happen to you. And it's almost frightening how it really will distract you. Because you'll find your mind going back and you'll lose your focus and you'll get back into this. So first time, read it cover to cover, recognizing there's going to be a bit of an emotional roller coaster for you. Second time, you have gone past the emotions, read it again, this time with your highlighter and your pen. You highlight critical portions in the FETA book, and then you write notes to yourself, synthesizing some of the concepts that you'll learn about in here. Then the third time, you go back and read your notes, read what you highlighted, and you'll find by the end of the third read, you will be in much better shape. You'll be empowered. You'll be able to deal with any crisis that might come down the road and know how to handle it. But we're going to spend the bulk of our time pretty much on this book. The other book that I'm going to discuss briefly will be your All About IEPs book. This book is not like the law book, which is really a reference book. And it's not like the From Emotions to Advocacy book. It's in between. It's a fun, funny, humorous book to read that consists of nothing more than frequently asked questions about IEPs. Over the years, we have received hundreds of questions, probably thousands of questions about IEPs, and Deborah in our offices keeps them all, master database, and we use them as a basis for this book. And some of the questions, you'll say, how could someone even ask that question? What planet are they on? Or well, why do they even believe what was being told to them? Because one of the questions is, my special ed director said parents are not members of the IEP team. Is that correct? See, I mean, you already hear and you already know that that's wrong. But we do, so we put all the questions in here. So you'll find this as a fun book to read. You don't have to sit down and study it. But when you have a question about IEPs, the odds are pretty good that the question has already been asked and answered in here. So then when it's an IEP question, you might want to jump just to the list, the table of questions that are in the front of the book to find out where to turn to in this particular book. But you don't have to read it necessarily in order front to back and so on and so forth. Okay, I'm going to go very, very fast. And at times you may find me slowing down and your attention will wander. But anytime I say anything or talk about anything, if you lose where you are or your attention wanders, don't worry about it too much, because anything I say is in one of the two books, the law book or the FETA book. And if you have the OCD characteristic of having to write down what's on every slide, you're going to fall way behind. You're going to want me to slow down, and I'm not. If you're even worse, you write down what I say, it won't happen. You will not make it. You do not have to feel guilty about not writing down information on the slides. I deliberately do not make my outline available to whenever I do the program, I don't make it available because I don't want anyone to write notes on the outline, which is what people normally do if they have the outline available. Because what happens is when a question comes up a year later, you'll try to find your outline. You can't remember, you don't know where it is. What happened to it? So I have you make notes in the law book. And if we're talking about IEPs, you'll make your notes right in the IEP statute, right beside the statute. So later on when a question comes up, you'll be able to find it right away. It's okay not to take notes, but when I do tell you to turn to page so-and-so, to highlight such and such, and then write the following, that is what you must do. That's what all that you have to be doing is when I actually tell you. Many times I'll tell you turn to so-and-so and such and such, and I won't tell you to highlight, I won't tell you to write notes, and you don't have to highlight or write notes.